I'm Nangola Nafuka. I'm 21 years old and I'm a third year law student at the University of Namibia.
My name is Michael Nauta and I'm a second year aeronautical engineering student at the National Institute of Technology in India.
Hello, my name is Chaza Simanga. I'm a third year student at the University of Namibia studying industrial psychology.
Well, my name is Mark Sipanda. I'm a second year economics student at the Polytechnic of Namibia.
My name is Samuel Ndungula. I'm a Bachelor of Science Applied Math and Statistics student at the Polytechnic of Namibia.
I started debating, I think it might have been in 9th grade. My English teacher thought that I'd be good at it and she kind of guilt-tripped me into going. Didn't really want to, but I'm glad I did.
When I started debating, it was basically a class debate, and then my teacher was like, "You're really good, so I think you should join the regional team." And then that's how I began my debating.
Obviously not. Apart from having to, the obvious obstacles such as having to talk in front of people and now having to analyze or reason in front of people, we didn't grasp exactly what debating was, and the training material wasn't sufficient to say. So although we did train twice a week, it wasn't always as easy, which we learned a lot when you competed against other schools who did have the material that they had. So, yeah.
It wasn't easy at all. At that time, we didn't really have a teacher to coach us or teach us, so we had to teach ourselves and do a lot of research on the internet and so forth. There was very little guidance.
Well, debating, apart from the fact that it has, I've got to see the world out there because I was part of the first Namibian team to actually represent the country at the Worlds. That sort of was an achievement on its own, but not only that, debate has also helped me when it comes to my intellectual capacity, when it comes to how I relate with the rest of the world.
Well, I believe I've achieved a lot through debating. I entered the junior parliament, national junior parliament, and debating was also instrumental in me achieving 2 scholarships, which I have at the moment, and also in other endeavors like national science fair and so forth, where my ability to speak made me a top contender in such competitions.
Basically, the main or the number one challenge that's facing debate is trying to recognize debating as a sport like any other within the country. The moment that challenge is overcome, we then only realize the government can only then start providing for funds. Like the government needs to realize, or whoever out there in the world needs to realize that debating like any other sport can do good within society. And the fact that we do not have good trainers to train our children when they are going to worlds, for example, or just good trainers to take the message of debating to rural areas out there is a challenge, because kids out there do not come up to par or up to standard with debating when we go out to different competitions like worlds and all that.
I think the very first and the biggest problem that faces debate in the country is that people do not have the material that is needed for people to be trained on how to debate, as well as a lot of support from external people, like people from outside. We don't have that. You have your teachers and the other students, but you don't really have support from the outside to help you debate. So that's what I think is the biggest problem.
Having traveled to the various areas of the country for debating tournaments, you'll notice that especially in particular areas of the country, the information as to debating and what exactly debating is or how you debate, or even adjudication for that matter, hasn't been carried out uniformly. So you see that the debating cannot or is hampered in advancing in that regard because people don't have enough material, but they also don't have enough training to be able to advance their debating skills.
Well, that comes from it's something very challenging to deal with, but it all comes up to who really has the debating experience. Like, we can look at the varsity guys that are debating. They can get out to schools there more often, train these kids about what it is they need to know about debate. Not just that, we sort of need the corporate world to actually step in and actually help out the debaters out there, because it benefits them as well. By simply, when the corporate world actually helps out the debaters, what you will then see is that what the debaters can do, these are intellectual people, they can have debates and find solutions to the problems that this corporate world faces. Not just that, and also these debaters are also they sort of become an image, an advertising image for these corporate worlds, because then they will be there as figures of this particular corporate guys in that particular aspect.
I think the very first thing that we should do is get people to understand what debate is all about. And then we need to get people involved in debate, because everything in the world is about debate. Politics is about debate. The economy is about debate. Everything is basically about debate. So we should get people from outside to invest in debate, because debate is really one of the very first things that people need in order for a country to grow.
These challenges can only be addressed when debating is realized as a sport. When it's realized as a sport, government can then come into the game and actually provide not only funding for training or finding good enough trainers for people or high schools out there, but also for intellectual support and giving the necessary guidance and facilities, for example, like school halls and boards to host competitions, for example, which enhances a person's capability to debate even better.
Debating isn't so much a sport as it is a sport, but it's an art too. And it's an art that when you have children who can analyze and think logically for whichever aspect of life that their children go into, it can only be beneficial. And I think for the corporate world, especially with having to have these children come into their sectors, it will be beneficial if they invest, so to say, in them while they're at a young age.